She has a YouTube page called Dreams of Atlantis, which now I guess she morphed it into, it's called Prior World. And I had a chance to speak with Lizzie about her insight into her lifetimes in Atlantis. Now, I talk to a lot of people who say they have dreams, who have intuitions about lifetimes in Atlantis, but Lizzie has had these not only visions, but full-on picturesque memories of her time in a place that we consider Atlantis. She has a different name for it, but I recorded a short interview with her after we had spent the day in Aswan. We were on our cruise ship on the Nile, and I was curious to know exactly her perception. So here's a short 10-minute interview with her. And this is, again, somebody who has profound visions to the point where she has, like I said, opened up a complete page on YouTube where she provides very, very detailed references to memories that she had of Atlantis. Have a quick listen. So we're here on the Grand Egyptian Tour 3 with Lizziekaren Metcalf. Thank you. Lizziekaren. Okay. And I discovered that Lizzie has amazing recall, not only of her dreams, but it appears that she has really direct experience with a place that we know as Atlantis, but she has actually come up with some more information. So, hey, Lizzie, thanks for joining me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. First of all, I should say that it wasn't called Atlantis at all.
Okay.
It was called Tantal, but because the aspects of Tantal were so similar to what I understand to be Atlantis, I just assumed that it was the same place. Isn't there an American saying, if it walks like a duck and smells like a duck, it's a duck?
Yeah. The name Tantal, where does that derive from? Is that who they told you in your dream, or what was your role in the most notable lifetime in Atlantis?
Okay, so the name, I think it meant something significant because the place Tantal was specifically found for my people. We were living in I think it was South America, and it was not very pleasant because there was a group of other humans that would attack the village regularly, and so we had to move to find somewhere else to develop our civilization because our technology was developing very quickly, and so it was decided that this place would be great, and it was specifically built from scratch for the purpose of my people.
So, in observing this Tantal, the way you're describing it doesn't sound like it's the high technology. It sounds like one of the middle phases, or maybe an early phase of Atlantis. Would you suggest that?
Yes, I would agree. In fact, I'd say that the technology was very simple, but it wasn't technology that we have. So the technology from the start of Tantal, the main components would be the fact that life expectancy was extended significantly. So people were not expected to die of old age. If they died, it was of a terrible accident. And we had vibrational technology. Initially, that was just for what I guess you'd call levitation, but we had a word that more aptly described it as lighter than air. But once again, it's just a different way of looking at things.
Mm-hmm. Can you describe the outfits, the clothing at this time, and at the same time what the weather conditions were like? Because if you're in South America, we think of South America today as being higher temperatures.
That's a really, really big question because my dream regressions span over 30,000 years. And during that time, yes, I know, very long lifespans.
Yeah.
During that time, I saw a lot of changes in the weather, massive changes. I saw changes in the sea levels. So to give you a description of the weather is kind of everything, and it all depends on exactly the time frame that we would be asking for and exactly where the location would be. But the interesting thing is that Tantal, the main part of Tantal was one place, but there were 12 universities, but they were split over 10 locations, and Tantal was just one of those locations. And the other 9 were all around the world.
Wow. Okay.
You asked about fashion, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Once again, large span of time. But at the start of Tantal, when we first got the vibrational technology to allow us to levitate, we all wore beautiful cloaks because we would just use the very gentle technology, rise up into the air, and then we would just slowly switch off the ability to be lighter than air, and we would glide to the location that we wanted to go using the beautiful cloaks.
Let's start from the beginning on your receiving this information. When did you start getting real vivid images of this place?
As far back as I can remember. And I would talk to my parents about it, and I would give them descriptions, and they'd call it my special dreams, or they'd make it sort of a nice sounding way of it was my imagination.
So your parents are the ones you're trying to get reassurance from, and they're kind of going, this is a dream world, Lizzie.
Exactly. And this world that we live in is so totally different to my so-called dream world that I would always be saying to my parents, no, it shouldn't be like that. No, it shouldn't be like that, Mum. And my parents were very frustrated with me, and they would say things like, we think that your dream world is lovely, my darling, but don't go telling anybody else.
Okay, so that's you had to kind of keep it to yourself for. I guess did the dreams stay the same vividness as a child that they are now, or?
Oh yes, and I have some dreams over and over, and not all my dreams are exciting, dynamic, adventure kind of dreams. Although I do have some nice dreams. Some of them are actually quite boring and repetitive. Like I have one which is a really lovely dream about growing tomatoes.
Oh my God. That's fascinating. Talk a little bit about the technology you gave us a little hint about your age. 30,000 years was the average lifespan? Is that what you
there was no average lifespan. There was no limit to the lifespan. The problem was that you were still vulnerable to things like drowning, or in my case, I was hit from behind by a cart traveling at speed. So
did you in for that lifetime?
Instant.
Yeah. So would you say these are genetic enhancements, or that it's just lifestyles or lifetimes are just long without the intervention of technology?
Oh, there was lots of intervention.
Oh, there was?
Oh, yeah, there was. The whole reason that the culture that I lived in took off was there was one person born who was a genius, of the kind of genius level that you might describe Tesla. And they were the ones that came up with the levitation and the longevity drug and many other things. And without that person, we would have just been a normal human group that were, at the same time frame, I would think.
So this one individual was a super genius that not only invented comfort technology, but also enhancement and travel technology? What type of technology?
Yep, we had the travel technology. So the personal travel was easy with the cloak and just going up and getting to where you wanted to go to. But we built these towers for the more distant travel. And there were beautiful machines, really beautiful machines for traveling in the air, and machines that looked like fish for traveling in the water.
This does sound more like Atlantis, because I've heard that there were these towers that sent energy into the atmosphere, and that they were able to design flying ships within the Earth's own atmosphere. Flying ships, surface craft with wheels, and then underwater craft. What specifics in terms of propelled craft do you remember?
All the craft, the technology around every single piece of equipment was vibrational technology. And that came to the cutting equipment, the flying equipment. Absolutely everything was based on that initial discovery around vibration. And the underwater craft, it operated the same way as the flying craft, except, we were completely sealed, and it sort of submarine-like, but a lot more comfortable.
Wow. All right. Hey, it's been great speaking with you. Give people your YouTube channel and details about that. What's unique about your channel? And what's the name, by the way?
Okay, well, on the channel, I've called the channel Prior World, but I originally called it Dreams of Atlantis.
Yeah.
But, I was new to the whole YouTube thing, and Dreams of Atlantis, I got a bit of criticism about it, and of course, being paranoid about, trying to make it as appropriate as possible, I changed the name to Prior World. But having spoken to Cliff, I'm now wondering if I should change it back again to Dreams of Atlantis. So if you're looking to check out my channel, you'd look up Lizziekaren, so one word.
Lizziekaren.
Prior World.
Okay. Yeah, I like Dreams of Atlantis just because it just flows, and that's the original name. So the first thought is always the best. Lizzie, thank you.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. Thank you, Cliff.
Now, obviously, she has amazing recall and clarity on a lot of the topics, and she was very vocal on much of the tour about referencing the temples that we were at. I think the Great Pyramid, the Khufu Pyramid. She was really a pleasure, and Lizzie, if you're listening, I think you need to turn the YouTube page back to Dreams of Atlantis. I think I mentioned that a number of times. Prior Worlds, although it's cute, it's not as strong as Dreams of Atlantis. And those of you listening, I really suggest that you check this out as well. If you've wanted to get an Edgar Casey level of clarity about Atlantis, I think some of the material presented by Lizziekaren might help. Might help. It might trigger more information that you've been wanting to know about. It might open new avenues. So much about this major continent comes out in trickles and comes out in bits and pieces. I think Lizzie actually provides an access point for more details, and perhaps we can get a book out of her. I actually suggested that she convert her many journals. She showed me a picture of them. It's like a stack, a huge stack of journals that she's been compiling for many years. I suggested that she create a book. So, Lizzie, if you're listening, that's my suggestion. So, anyhow, fascinating people on these tours, and Lizzie was just one of many of the wonderful people that we had on our Egypt tour, the Grand Egyptian Tour 3.